this is Rosa Kelly. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm here with a very requested video, which is decorating a blank book. And so for that, I'm going to be using one of my Christmas edition books. So these are blank mini albums that I have created, and I do have, I think, 3 of these still available on my website if you would like to get one of these blank mini albums. These have some sliding pages, some opening pages. Also, I do have a tutorial for this on my digital magazine. This was again that Christmas edition magazine. So on the magazine you can find step-by-step picture tutorials on creating this book. But of course you can decorate any book, and you can even use some of my blank book tutorials to create your own book first. Now to decorate these, I'm going to be using my digital collection called Santa's Day Out. You have seen me showcase a project with this collection. This was my collection for Patreon for the month of December. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this again because I think this was super cute. A lot of you like the collection as well. So I'm just gonna do a quick walkthrough. So when I print my collections, I always use 8.5 by 11 lightweight cardstock. It's this Recollection Brands 65-pound cardstock, which is the same one that I use for binding my mini albums. And so yeah, so I just go ahead and print these fit to page, because as you can see the images are 1:1. So if you have a 12 by 12 type of printer, you can print these on 12 by 12, but I just make it to fit, so it prints at about 8.25 by 8.25. And so it's a really sweet collection. I love how these came out. So the idea was for Santa to take a break and have a fun day out with his best friend, the reindeer. And so we have 2 of each design page that has the same background, and then we also have the complementary pages, which I'll show you in a minute. I wanted to do 2 of like solid colors as well. And then each one of the background pages has a background design. And I just love how this collection turned out. So I just went ahead and printed 1 full set. But I'll probably be printing a few more sheets as we go, which is the beauty of these digital collections. You can print as many as you need. And so yeah, so this book measures 8 by 8, and the inside pages are, actually let me measure these. So the inside pages are 7.5 by 7.5, and also each one of these pages is a pocket page, so we can also create an insert for all of these. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and start. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add some magnets to my pages here. So I could do a magnet right here, or we can do a center feature there. And then I definitely do need a magnet over here. So I'm just gonna add my magnet right there, and then add a little piece of tape. Okay, so let's got 2 pieces. I'm just gonna put these right here and glue the magnet. Now on these sliding pages, I also like to put a magnet so the page is not moving. So let's go ahead and add a magnet over here. I'm just gonna put one on the top, and let's secure this with the tape, and then I'm going to close these, and I'm just gonna put that magnet on top. And so there we go. So now this page is more sturdy. Then over here we have another closure, so we can add another magnet right there, piece of tape. Okay, so let's put that, and then the magnet, and close this up. Now I'm just gonna press on my tape. Okay, and then press on my tape over here. Okay, so we have that. Over here we could also add a magnet, but I think I'm just gonna leave that. Okay, so those I'm gonna leave. And then this one, we'll just add an insert on this pocket, and that's gonna keep that closed. But I do wanna add a magnet up here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put one right there. Okay, and take some of this, and then add that right here. Okay, so that's gonna be these pages. Now for this center or gatefold, I do want to put a magnet on this right side. Okay, and then we're gonna add a center piece, and just gonna use the magnet on the right side only, and then we'll add the other magnet on the piece that we're gonna be adding. Okay, so I think that's gonna be it for magnets so far, and we're gonna get right on to cutting our cardstock. So let me put this to the side, and I'm going to start with a background, just a background page for the opening page, and then the center image. So I think I'm gonna use this one. So cute. Okay, let me see. What else do I have? I think I'm actually going to use one of these pages that Santa is, oh yeah, this one's here. I'm gonna use this and this for the gatefold actually, because I want to have kind of like these two little sections peeking through. Okay, so let's put that to the side, and then this will go at the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and cut. We're gonna cut 2 pieces, so these are going to be 7 1/4. Okay, so let's cut this out first. So I only want this section, so I'm gonna cut this at 3, I think this would be 3.5 by 7 1/4. Okay, so usually whatever the page size is, I take a 1/4 inch away from each side. So for example, this is 3 3/4 by 7 1/2. So I'm going to do 3 1/2 by 7 1/4. So taking a 1/4 inch on each side here. Okay, and then this piece is going to go on that side. Okay, so let's place that, and I like having Santa kind of coming from the side. And then I'm going to use this section. Okay, so let's put that over here. So I'm going to cut and cut the white space, and we're going to cut this again at 3 1/2 by 7 1/4. And we are just going to remove the tape, and we're going to glue this piece right over here. Okay, so we have these two, so that's gonna be that gatefold. And now I want a piece for the center, and like I said, I kind of want to use this image here. So I'm just going to cut this piece. Just gonna have this center, so this will be about 3.5, and then we can probably do this by 4, maybe 4.5. Okay, and then these could go, yeah, so we're gonna put that here. So I need some red cardstock. I'm gonna use some of my red cardstock. Again, this is by Recollections, and I'm going to cut these at 3 3/4, okay, by 4 1/4, and we can wait. I think that's, oh, I think I cut this too small. All right, let's try this again. So 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, and we're just going to glue these right here. Oh, and before I glue it, actually, I almost forgot. We're gonna be adding the other magnet here. So I'm gonna place this kind of like at the center. We're gonna glue only half of these, okay, to add the closure. And I'm just gonna place that right there. So I'm just centering these, okay, and then we're going to add the magnet here. Yeah, so let's add the magnet, and I'm going to add some tape. Okay, so put some tape in there, and then we're just going to glue this one now. Okay, so we're gonna add this piece right here. So cute, I love it. Okay, so that's gonna be this first page with the gatefold, and then I'm going to use some of the background, and we're going to cut this at 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, and we are just going to glue this at the center here. Okay, so we are placing these right there, and for the inside, of course, you'll cut a same piece like that size. And then I'm going to use the same background page for the other side, so it kind of complements. Okay, so I'm gonna use these for this side, and we're gonna cut these at 7 1/2. Okay, so let's do this, and hopefully we're not cutting the design too much, so I'm gonna go a little lower and do 7 1/2 by 7 1/2. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna move it over, and then again here 7 1/2, and now we can add this piece right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna add my page just like that. Okay, so press down, and then when you have like little scrap pieces, these are perfect for like photo areas here. So I think I have the other one, so you can even put a couple and just gonna have it ready for you to simply add your pictures. So I'm gonna add these right there. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue this one, but I'm going to leave this corner open so we can slide a picture behind it. Okay, so that can go right here. So then these two pictures will overlap a little bit, and you can still add that behind this photo area, and you have the two images. Okay, so that is gonna be this first page. Super simple. Okay, and I'm gonna be saving all of my little scraps to add to other pages, or maybe to finish decorating some of the inside. Okay, so for this page we have another large flap, so we can add in here. I think I'm gonna add this is one of my favorite pages on this collection, so maybe we can put this. So I'm gonna measure this page here. So this is 6 1/4, and this one here is 3. So I'm gonna use this one first. Okay, so we're gonna cut this at 6 inches. Okay, so 6. Let's see. Okay, and then by 7 1/4. And we're gonna place this over here. Okay, so we already have the magnet, so we're just gonna glue this down. So basically just following the same process, reducing the size by 1/4 inch. So if this is 6 1/4, we're cutting this at 6 inches. And I always like to do the main pages first, and then I go back and do like the inside pages, especially if I'm working with regular cardstock. If I'm working with digital cardstock that I can print as many as I need, I don't worry too much about that. Okay, so now for the other side, I'm gonna pick the one that has the same background, which is this one here, and this will be a full size, so we're gonna cut this at 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, so let me cut this again. So 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and then this can go right there. Okay, so let's remove, and we're going to glue this down. And I love how the collection looks on the red base albums. I think it just makes the collection more Christmassy, makes it stand out more. I'm gonna use this print for this side. Okay, so we're gonna cut this. So this will be 2 3/4 by 7 1/4. And we are just gonna put this piece here. Okay, so perfect piece here. And then we still have like some of these that I'm gonna keep, and the small little scraps, I keep them, so sometimes I use these to cover the gussets, but we're just gonna continue. So this is done. We'll come back to do the inside, and now we're gonna work on this page. So we could add that, but then I'm covering Santa, so I don't want to do that. And same thing here, so we don't want to do that. So for that, I'm going to maybe use I'm going to use this page here for that section. So let's cut this. So let's see, we can measure this. So this is 3.5, which means we're gonna cut at 3.25 by 5.5. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this at 3.25 by 5.25. Okay, and that can go right here. Okay, so we're gonna put this piece right there, and then I can use the leftover for this side panel. So we have 4 by 6 3/4. So we are going to do 3 3/4 by 6.5. Okay, so I'm just gonna do 6.5 here and place this piece right over here. I'm going to use now this background page to kind of contrast the colors. So we're gonna cut these at 7.25 by 7.25. Okay, so 7.25 by 7.25. And then we can glue this right back here. Place that right there. Okay, so close this, close that. And now let's work on this next page. So for this one, I'm gonna pick a design that has like a long design here. So I don't know if this will be too big, a little bit big, but maybe we can use that. What else do we have? Oh, we have these. Okay, I think I'm gonna use this. It's so cute. So I'm going to cut this top section first. So this is 4 inches. So we are going to cut at 7 3/4. No, 3 3/4 by 7.25. Okay, so 3 3/4 by 7.25. This will go along the top. Okay, so we're gonna place these pieces right here. And now for the other page back here is 6 inches. So I'm going to pick a background page. Let's see. So maybe we can use the green background, right? Since here we did green and red, we're gonna do reds and green. And we are going to cut this at 5 3/4 by 7.25. Okay, so 5 3/4 by 7.25, and this will go right here. So let's add the glue. Okay, so place this down. And let me go ahead and cut a background for the inside. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna cut this at 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, so 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and and so we can put this back here. Okay, so I'm just gonna add this, and I'll come back and add the rest of the pages. Now for these two, we have kind of like twin pages, and I am going to use the two designs here that have the same background. And so we are going to cut, let me check what other designs I have. I also have these two, but okay, so I think I'm just gonna use these ones. And so this page is 7. Okay, so we are going to cut these at 7 1/4. Okay, so up and down will be 7 1/4, and then this is going to be by 6 3/4. So that's going to be 1 and this here by 6 3/4. Okay, and we are just going to glue these two pieces right there, so we can probably do it like this, and add my glue. Okay, and 1 on each side. Okay, so here's 1 and 2. And there we go, super cute. And then we gotta do the inside. But I think for the inside, I'm going to use one of the backgrounds, but I want to use the same one, so they're actually twin pages. So I'm going to have to reprint one of these a few times, so I'm going to just let that for the end. And now let's cut this page here. So I'm gonna use this page and use this top section for the pocket, and then use this piece for this flap over here. So the pocket is 3 inches, so we are going to cut, we're gonna cut this at 2 3/4 by 7 1/4 here first. And this is going to be for the pocket, so I'm going to put them upside down because I just think that's so cute and so silly. Okay. And that's how I designed it on the page. Okay, so that's gonna go there. And then this flap here, it's 4 by 6 3/4. So we're gonna cut these. Take out the white. So this is going to be 3 3/4 by 6 1/2. Okay, and we can put that right back here. So let's add glue. And we're gonna add the paper here, and then I'm gonna use the background, the other page that has the same background, for the other side. And we're going to cut this at 7 1/2. Okay, so we're gonna try to make this fit. I don't know that it will, so cut that a little bit. So 7 1/2 by 7.5. Okay, and add these piece here. There we go. And I'm gonna cut now just the background for the inside. So I'm gonna use this one. And we're gonna do this at 7.25. We can do by like 6. Okay, so 7.25 by 6, and so we are just going to put these inside the pocket. So let's add the glue. And put that right there. Okay, so we have these. This one we still need to add the inside. I think to most of these we still need to add some of the inside pages. Oh, this one here we could add a background. So I'm gonna use this and cut this at 7.25 by 7.25. Let's start over here, and then 7.25. Okay, and we can add that inside the sliding page. And just put this inside that belly band and just line it up. And then we need another little piece for that, so probably just use this here. And we're gonna cut this at about 3/4 inches. Okay. By I'm gonna do by 7. Okay, and slide that, and then we're just gonna glue this down and inside right here like this. Okay, and press down. So that's gonna be there. Magnetizes there. And now we have this other page, so I could use this background. So again, 7.25 by 7.25. And we're just gonna glue these down. And there we go. Put that right there. Now we have these two kind of like half pieces. We could always use these and just kind of complement with another piece from our scraps, or we can also use this to create tags. So we have a pocket here, so we can create some tags for that pocket, or we can actually use it here also. Oh yeah, maybe we can put it over here. So I'm going to cut those two. So I believe this was 4, and this is by 6 3/4. So we are going to cut these. Okay, so this is going to be 6.5. And then we're going to do this by 3 3/4. Okay, so that's 1 and 3 3/4 here. Okay, and I think I'm actually gonna put one back here. Okay, so add these right there. Okay, and so that way we can put a small picture here and keep the design, but then on this other side we can have the design and then a larger picture on the other side. Okay, so we are just gonna put this piece there, or I can print some regular background for that, something like this piece back here, and that's gonna go there. Okay, so I think I have used all of the pages that I print out except for this one, but I don't think I'm gonna use that one right now. Let's see, maybe I can I'm gonna use this for back here, but I do need to print 3 more because I do want all of them to be the same. And I just added the paper on these pages, and so we are going to decorate the cover. So I went ahead and printed a few more sheets, and I have some gold cardstock to add just a little border around the cover pages. Now I wanted to share with you how I printed the page for the cover, because the pages, when you select fit to print, if you're printing an 8.5 by 11 paper, it will print this size, which is about 8.5 by 8.5 or 8.25 by 8.25, depending how much, if your printer leaves this white space. Mine always does, but I think you can fix the settings and not have that. But the point is that because I want to show this page and I want to have the image of Santa, and I also want to have this other image here, I didn't want to have to cut any of these to make it to fit the size that I wanted. So I scale the page. Now this was fit to print, as I mentioned before, but the actual size, because it's a very high definition paper collection, the size is twice the size of this, okay, because the definition is large and you can also print it on 12 by 12. But what I did to reach this size, as you can see, I kind of did a little try basis here. So I printed this first one at 45% scale. So on your printer settings, you can select scale and before you print the page, and I did 45% for this one, but it printed just a little bit too small. This one is 7 by 7, and then I kind of play with that, and then I printed this one at 48%, and this one gave me the exact 7.5 by 7.5 on the paper, and which is what I want, because I want to be able to add these here, and I'm gonna add that gold around it. So in case that you're using the digital collection, I just wanted to show you how I came out with the exact size to have the Santa on the corner, so I don't have to crop them off, and you know, just gonna have the paper how I intended it to be, without having to paper piece or anything like that. Now if you're using a different collection, that is not a problem, but we're just gonna get right to it and work on the cover. So I'm gonna keep this cover pretty simple. I'm going to just add my gold pages first. So we're gonna cut these at 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and like I said, this is this one's a little small. This one is 7.5 by 7.5. So I'm just gonna glue this piece right here, and we're gonna have just a little bit of the gold peeking around. Okay, so I'm just gonna add my glue and add this piece right there. Okay, and that's gonna be my front. Now for my back cover, I'm going to use this page, and again I'm going to cut this at 7.5 by 7.5, and I did not scale this page because this is just background page. So let me put that here, 7.5, 7.5, and I'm going to glue this on the other gold cardstock. Okay, and we're going to add this piece right there. And now I'm ready to glue these pieces. So I'm going to glue this down. So I'm just gonna add my glue. And we're gonna place these right back here, and I'm just going to press and down. Okay, and then we're going to add the one on the front. I don't know if you can see on the video, but the cardstock got a little bit rough. I think it's because it's been so cold. I don't know why, but that's totally okay because it's just gonna get covered with the cardstock. Okay, so if that happens to you, that's totally fine. You can just, you know, after you decorate it, you won't see that. Okay, so we are just gonna add my glue, and we're going to put these right here. Okay, so I'm just going to press down and press down here. Okay, and now for the spine, I'm going to cut my gold cardstock at 7 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then I'm going to use this page here, and I want to just use this section. So we are going to cut this at 2.5. So I'm just gonna go here and do 2.5, and we're gonna do this by 7.5. Okay, and that is gonna be our spine. So I am just going to add my glue and place this right over here. And now I'm ready to glue this piece. Okay, so I'm just gonna add this right to the spine, and there we go. So pretty. So I love having a flat cover, but I'll probably add a center image here, maybe a place for a picture, maybe a little bit of flowers. But what I want to do next here for this tutorial is work on the inserts, and maybe we can create some layout. Now for my inserts, I'm going to cut 4 pieces at 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, so these are going to be my 4 pieces here. And I'm going to be also adding maybe some little layouts. So I'm just going to use these 2 scrap pieces. These are going to be about 3 3/4, and I'm gonna do these by 7. Okay, so, and we are going to score. I'm going to score these at 1/2 inch along the 7 inches. Okay, so I'm just gonna use scraps, and this will be perfect place for a picture here. And I'm going to grab one of my pages, and then we can go ahead and add these. You can add one up and down, you can add both here along the top. Just gonna have fun with the layouts. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add this one up at the center. Okay, and then add my glue and add the other one right here. Okay, so we're just creating something a little bit more fun. So that could be one. And then I'm going to do maybe another page here, and I have some little scrap pieces, but I'm gonna cut these at 7 by 7.25, and score again at 1/2 inch along the 7 inches. Okay, so we're gonna score, and then we can add that to another one of the pages. So just creating more places here, making this into a little, kind of like a little folder. Okay, so let me just line this up and press down. So now this opens up like this, and we have a lot more room for pictures. Now for this next one, I kind of want to aim at using this piece. So I'm going to measure what this is. So I'm going to cut this at 7, which is the size I need. And then this could be about 5 3/4. Okay, so this actually will fit. Oh no, that's a little too big. Okay, so we're gonna cut another piece, and I'm gonna use this here. So 7.25 by 6.5. I think, what size is this? This is about 6 inches. So I'm gonna do it by 6.5 and score at 1/2 inch along the 6.5. Okay, so we're just going to score and fold. Okay, so I'm just gonna fold, and I'm going to use another one of my pages, inserts, and just do the same. Add my glue, and we're gonna put this here. And now this flap will be perfect for this page. And there you go. So that's gonna go right here. This is probably, I think I said this before, but that's my favorite image. I love that. And the next one I'm just gonna leave blank or plain at 7.25 by 7.25, because I have this page that I printed accidentally or it was one of my try-ins for the scaling, but this one was printed at 45% scale down, and this is exactly 7 by 7, so it's going to fit right here like that. So pretty. And you can treat each one of these inserts as a little mini scrapbook, so you can put a little cardstock piece here, cardstock piece there, just kind of like we did on this first page. So now I'm just going to go ahead and add my inserts, so that can go there. So we have a little bit of area here peeking out. This page I'm gonna put it over here, so find the inserts, and I'm gonna come back and add paper, and then I still have to add paper to these 2 pages, but I can go ahead and add, just so I know. This one can go right here, okay, and then this page can go on my last page over here. Okay, so I still need to add more paper. So there you go. That is gonna be the decorating of this book. I'm gonna come back and do a final walkthrough. Another thing that I'm just going to be adding to this book are some add-ons. So I had a pop-up add-on class, which was a live class for members here on YouTube. So when you join the YouTube membership, you have access to all of those previous live classes. So if you ever want to consider that, we have so many videos in there, so you have access to all past videos even if you don't join the live. But I just wanted to quickly share this with you because we created some really fun pop-ups, and I'm going to be adding these pieces on the book here. So for example, on a page like this, we can add these at the center, and this will be a fun little pop-up for that page. And then we have this other one. This one turned out really fun. So for example, I can put this page here, like if we open this up, and I have this piece. I'm just gonna glue this down here, but this is a double pop-up page, so it opens up like this. So you just glue this piece down, and then you can go ahead and open it and see your double pop-up, and then this will close and close, and then you close that right there. And yeah, it's just an easy, fun and easy way to add more detail to your book even after you add your paper on the pages. So for example, this one can be just a floating page. This is a little gatefold. You can also use as a card, and it just opens up like that. And then again, these two open up here. So I'm going to be adding my design paper, and then this can go on the pocket. And then I have this little mini infinity book or booklet that I think I'm gonna put here. So I created a little belly band holder, so you can glue the belly band, and then that way you can take this in and out. And so this piece is really fun. It just opens like a little explosion box. It opens to all the sides, and then each side has a pull out, and so it just has a lot of room for pictures. All of that on this little mini booklet, and then that can go on the page. You can glue this directly here as well, or you can glue the belly band and then just kind of have that option to be able to take it in and out of the book. So I'm going to be finishing this up, adding paper and adding those interactive pieces, and I will come back with a final review of this book. But I hope that you guys enjoy decorating this book with me. I really had a lot of fun, and I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.